This is the key. Getting organized at your desk and then taking that out into the field and being able to turn stories a lot quicker, and also being able to juggle multiple stories at the same time. What we found as anchors that are trying to balance reporting as well is that you cannot just have one ball up in the air at one time. The key is to have multiple stories you're working on. You have file folders like this one where you have each day of the week, and each one of those is another story for me to work on. Or check out, this is one of my favorite things, and this is kind of geeky, but a dry erase board where we list all of the stories that we're working on. And right now we've got 2, 4, 6, I've got 7 stories that are in some state of either started or completion. Some of them I've just shot the interviews on, some of them I've just done the research on, some of them are just ideas, and some of them are completely done. But by walking it every day and seeing something as simple as a dry erase board, whenever I get stuck and I'm sitting here at my desk and I get stuck and somebody's not returning a phone call on a story I'm working on, all I have to do is turn around and say, I can start working on this story. I can make some phone calls on that. Yes, it does mean that some days you get very little done because nobody's returning your phone calls. But every so often you'll have one of those magical days where 3 or 4 of the people on these stories call you back and are willing to sit down for an interview or provide the information or complete a FOIA request, and you can knock off 2 or 3 stories in a single day. But the only way that comes to fruition is by starting multiple stories, by not thinking about the 5 o'clock deadline today, but start to think about the 5 o'clock deadline 3 days from now. Thinking ahead is the absolute key. It is essential because it buys you some sanity. It buys you a day of, boy, nobody got back in touch with me, and you're not completely thrown off the curve. It buys you time to work on something maybe a little bit more in depth. All right, another key thing, and this is all about organization. Have a desk calendar. This is pretty basic stuff, but it really, really works. Have a desk calendar where you've charted out when the stories you're working on are going to air. And right now I'm working about 2.5 weeks out in terms of when these enterprise stories that really are only going to be seen here on our newscasts and only at 7 and 4 are going to air. By enterprising stories and picking stories that you know are not going to appear anywhere else because nobody else cultivated the sources or found that information or did the work behind it. By doing enterprise stories like that that are exclusive, that you know no one else is going to get, that buys you time. That essentially pushes back the deadline. When we used to do solely day of news, when we used to chase news, well, we're kind of like the greyhound running around the track who never gets the bone. What we've shifted to is where we drive news. We uncover the news. We work on stories that no one else is going to find anywhere else. By doing that, if you know that no one else is going to find this story, it means that you can work out several days. So take a look at what stories you're choosing to do, especially for your multimedia journalists. Maybe they pick story concepts that are more enterprising and not necessarily day of or not overly time sensitive. That allows you to build this cushion of working several stories at the same time without having a huge rush to get them on the air because they're exclusive.